Welcome to our show. It is Tuesday, July 14th. We're talking about GLP-1s, and we have a lot of different people. We have doctors, healers, chefs. Their background in health is pretty phenomenal. And I think we're going to be talking about this in a way that you're not really seeing marketed to you. So, Dustin, Dustin, I was just, what's up?
Paragon of health here. Let's go.
Yes, we know that that's your role.
Misha's introduction though made my fat ass really hungry.
I know.
I literally salivating just watching the highlight reel. It's out of control. And I love the new show title by invite only, Clutch.
Yeah, who came up with that?
I don't know.
I think that was you. Some genius, probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I was just on the phone.
I feel like it gives us full range to talk about whatever we want. And we don't have to go with it must be a debate thing. Because I like exploring topics more than I like arguing with people for the sake of arguing.
Yeah, well, we ended up all agreeing with each other anyway. So that was kind of a problem with the whole debate thing. I was actually on the phone call. I had a phone call right before this. I was talking to Dr. Dave. I had to get a new retainer with my orthodontist. And they're like, I was watching this show, this Bitcoin show. And they're like, and then I realized it was your channel. So apparently my orthodontist found us through one of our Bitcoin shows. So that's cool.
Nice. Let's get him in here.
Hey, Misha. Long time no see.
Unmute.
Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties. Yeah, good to be back. Thanks for having me again. The third time I'm with you guys on a podcast, so very excited. This is probably my favorite topic that we're going to be talking about. You mentioned your salivating over my food on that food video. So a lot of these, doctors are prescribing the GLP-1 fast melt, so that helps curb appetites. I wouldn't say take that, but if you need it, we can talk about Ozempic immediately. But we'll get you fed. Don't worry.
Yeah, so Misha does a lot of these really cool health events, and he cooks very healthy meals. But not only that, everyone that comes to these dinner tables is just really interesting. They think outside of the box. So check out his website because do you have any good health events coming up or not yet?
Yeah, actually we have one coming up, I think in Miami in the next 2 weeks. In August, we have a few events in New York, maybe one in LA, actually end of the month. Burning Man might be on the table. So I actually might be catering a Burning Man camp. So that could be a whole, a big experience. If you guys want to come to Burning Man, get some healing and do some real exercise, hop on a bike and get your cardio going. But yeah, no, if you want to talk about booking me later, hey, check me out. But I think ultimately just my principle is, food is medicine and eating in community. And a lot of our, especially in the Western culture, we talked about one of our last podcasts, is we kind of forgot how to eat in community. And when you eat in community, you actually eat at a table, like in Sri Lanka and India, that you actually sit at tables for like almost 7-8 hours for dinner, and your body actually has a lower insulin spike as you're actually eating the same food you would if you were rushing or convenience food or fast food. So yeah, I believe food is medicine, and that's kind of my philosophy. So this topic with Ozempic, it's right. I mean, I know we didn't reach the topic yet, but this is really an exciting topic for me. So I'm excited to be here.
And looks like, and yeah, we always love having you, Misha. You're entertaining and very smart. So it's always a good combo. It looks like we were laughing before it. Dave is in the same house as you, but he's not. Dr. Dave. Dr. Dave is
Hello.
a really smart guy. How's it going? Can you tell us about you and how long you've been in health?
Well, I went to chiropractic school, graduated in 1994. And I was, since like the week one, I was unknowingly doing functional medicine. I did a lot of organ work, visceral work, incorporating the chiropractic practice. And then I got into lab testing, and that changed everything because the lab testing I did matched the chiropractic. And so I could only take people so far, with the chiropractic and the visceral reflex work. So since 2005, I've dealt solely in lab testing and working with supplements and things like that, and studying the body, writing books about it, because there's things that the doctors will never mention, especially like when it affects GLP-1.
Yeah, so Dr. Dave, I found him maybe 8 years ago, I think. One of his articles online, and like whatever is popular or whatever like is in for the time, he would basically take it apart and then kind of show people how, well, what's actually going on, with your blood flow, with your organ function. And a lot of these doctors, they're not all bad, but a lot of them are just kind of going with whatever keywords are being found online. So whatever is popular on SEO, doctors will simply jump on that because it's a lot easier than for doctors to be found. So Dr. Dave is kind of like a hidden gem. I really think that it's a good idea to check out his website, because you will go down the rabbit hole of, all kinds of bacteria, bacterial issues that can occur, but you don't get caught up in like the specific diagnosis du jour like he likes to talk about. So whatever is in for the time, Lyme disease, mold, etc., it's best to kind of throw that out the window and focus on your lab tests. He's been reading my lab tests for many years, making sure your environment is up to date. Like Misha talks about a lot of the same things. So I really would check him out. He is like the epitome, and same with Misha, of like holistic health, but from a perspective of looking at research documents, not just, will it into existence. Just think positively. I mean, you have to be doing the right things as well. Mm-hmm. So really good to have you, Dr. Dave. He's going to be going into the problems of GLP-1s, why they're being promoted, and maybe the safe way to use them, or not. Farsam, I don't know where you went, but if you're still here, feel free to chime in. He's just been dark for a little bit, so I don't know. Farsam, if you can hear us, you can just.
I see him logging in.
It's just been like loading for a little.
Oh no. So Farsam's one of my top biohacking kind of insiders. He's been in the industry for 30 years. He is someone who, when I have a question in the space, when I'm watching a lot of doctors make it, practitioners, doctors, nutritionists make a lot of the wrong decisions for their patients and clients. He's someone that, knows the space extremely well. So he is also someone that, since this whole Ozempic craze really has been going on, we've been going back together going back and forth, almost for 2 years, is really opining on, the potential downstream effects of this, chronic issue of, people taking shortcuts for their health and not really getting there. There he is. I filibustered. Okay, great. Can you turn your phone sideways? Yeah, so we can see your beautiful face. Perfect.
Also, turn your mute off. Oh, okay. Well,
Us. Turn the volume
yeah,
up.
work on. I think he's saying he can't hear us.
Yeah, but that's on him.
Can you hear us?
I'll text him.
Okay. Well, while he's figuring that out, GLP-1.
Can you guys hear me? I can't hear anything.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. You still can't hear us? Why don't you just rejoin? Well, he can't hear.
I'll text him that.
Yeah, just tell him to rejoin.
All right, we can
first
get back
of all,
to yeah.
GLP-1s, by the way, and Dave, you can jump in on this. They're not like what's
Tana, can we start? What is GLP-1? Like,
that's what I'm going into. So people say peptides are really it, right? Oh, peptides. First of all, the main problem about peptides is they're not all weight loss drugs. Like these are, and you guys experts can chime in, that they're not all for weight loss. Like GLP-1s is just a specific type of peptide. It's gained popularity for the obvious reasons. Do one of you guys want to go into the definition of what a GLP-1 is and then why it's gained a lot of popularity? A peptide, well, GLP-1s are naturally produced in the body already, and the drug itself just helps you create more of it. As a side effect, you lose weight. So, for example, when you fast, you increase more GLP-1 in the body. Do I have that right? Misha, Dr. Dave? Misha, now you're muted.
Yeah. I mean, yes, in theory, absolutely. But, people, they're now so concerned about, creating their own natural GLP-1s in their nervous system and their physiology. But to me, I think they're missing the point. Right now, it's a marketing game, a marketing play, and really, I can read you the definition of GLP-1s. It's a naturally occurring hormone produced in the gut that regulates blood sugar, slows digestion, signals fullness to the brain. Synthetic versions like the GLP-1, they're medications that mimic the hormone, as you said, but basically it's really just to treat type 2 diabetes and promote weight loss. So, we have DMT reoccurring in our brain. We're not saying tap into our pineal gland and let's trip on DMT every day. So that's, I would say that argument kind of doesn't really carry its weight. So for us, we have to look at what's really going on here in the marketplace and why is this such a big craze? And, I think you have to actually look at this. And I've been thinking about this the past few days is, now that I'm actually seeing the marketing dollars go into, with Roe and all these companies, Hims and Hers are doing GLP-1 microdoses, it's mostly tapping into even these influencers who are so quote unquote body positive heavy, who I don't know if you're following that movement a few years ago, all those people were dying, right? So now you have these, overweight influencers, social media influencers who are kind of great at marketing, and they're just pushing dollars into these to basically let people understand, you could lose weight, but it's really not about losing weight. It's about curbing your appetite to help with type 2 diabetes and, slow digestion, blood sugar. But if people are not changing their diets, not changing their lifestyle, not adding in exercise and nutrition, and they keep their same, food intake, it can create massive problems. So, you asked me a question, what's GLP-1? That's essentially what it is. But it's not something that everyone should be trying to get in their nervous system naturally, right? Through naturally occurring foods. And, you can create GLP-1, by just fasting or doing resistance training and high interval training. So, for me, it's just a slippery slope right now where, Dustin said it earlier, when, he kind of sees the marketplace in any industry, when someone wants to take shortcuts, you're going to see a traffic cascade of issues and downstream effects that, really are going to have dangerous ramifications for our community.
I have two things. So I've long bet that the next great psyop would not be alien invasion, that we're actually going to get zombie apocalypse. I think GLP-1s, that could be the second order of, I see them the Ozempic face where they're all sunken in. And then, right, it's true about the side effects. Anytime you try to take a shortcut, it just doesn't end well. Like if you need to lose weight, there's some proven ways to do it. You know, diet and exercise like seem to be the most common one. These shortcuts always seem to have these second order effects. And I give it less than 5 years until we have like some version of the mesothelioma ads on like you and a loved one like affected negatively by GLP-1s, Ozempic, and other like blah blah blah. Like I think this is gonna. It looks to me like people are getting sick, not healthy, just from the outside looking. And listen, I'm somebody who could lose 50 or 60 pounds, so right, like, but never in a million years would I try to like take a magic pill that was gonna fix it for me.
So this is driving me nuts because, like Dana said, I break it down, and so I've got where is GLP formed in the body? In the pancreas. Okay. How much of the pancreas is endocrine? How much of the pancreas is exocrine, producing digestive enzymes?
No idea.
I don't know.
I have never had a medical doctorate be able to answer me that. Because I was taught, oh, maybe it's 30-30, maybe it's 50-50. It's 99-1. 99% enzyme production, 1% endocrine blood sugar hormones. And so way back in 90 something, right before I graduated, I read a thing in Guyton's textbook of physiology that said the pancreas will auto-digest itself. And so when these enzymes, 99% of it, get trapped in the pancreas, they start auto-activating and they start digesting the insulin cells and causing damage to GLP-1. Oh my God, we got a GLP-1 deficiency. And nobody's talking about auto-digestion of the pancreas while we're loading up on antacids and Prevacid and over-the-counter acid blockers, beta blockers. Well, these enzymes don't get released in the pancreas if there's no stomach acid. And
so go ahead.
And so the
I was ready to chime in, but
first time your audio sucks so bad.
hi, everyone.
What?
Does it really?
What's
I
happening?
hear you guys pretty.
Go.
I'm happy to leave. Come back in again.
Yeah,
Sorry
get
for the
better
technical
internet.
difficulties.
No, you know what?
I've got great internet. It's just where I do all my Zoom.
Okay, you can also just do audio. Maybe that's easier. I don't know.
How am I now? Is there any improvement? I really apologize.
Yeah, it's a little better. What were you gonna say? You were gonna chime in about what Dave was saying?
Yeah, building on what Dave, all of you, Misha, well, I'm a notion of a slippery slope. How far does this slippery slope go? And this is conceivably an integrative medicine oriented and holistic thinking group conversation and podcast. What we know that modern medicine is able to do is once they get something FDA approved, it becomes marketing based science, not science in service of marketing. And so they're going to be able to choose the parts they want to emphasize. This is all very obvious, of course, but when you look at how many parts there are, and to Dr. Dave's point, here's an issue that is not discussed. They actually actively in the scientific literature suppress conversations that need to be had because there's too much attention on the achievements. They're going to celebrate the achievements. Millions of people are overcoming obesity and all the comorbidities associated with obesity, right? That's how they're going to continue to sell this and bring out the next generations. A lot of people see what's happening and what's in the pipeline with the retatrutide. Are you guys keeping an eye on that? Because that's a triple agonist, and that's currently finishing the FDA clearance trials. And I know people who've been able to acquire it through peptide communities and get even more efficacious results. They also cherry pick and do not talk about the side effects in their own lives. But retatrutide and other products like that will make Ozempic and Wegovy and the others potentially look like nothing. I mean, they're going to try to convince us that we're going to have a planet full of nobody with obesity. But let's talk about this from a holistic perspective. What is a GLP-1? What does modern science in the West call a glucagon-like peptide? Why does, as Dr. Dave, I think it was emphasizing, why does the buccal fat in people's cheeks, why is it there that there's this specific loss of fat? Why isn't it evenly distributed? Because there's relationships, what modern Western medicine calls a pathway, this GLP-1 pathway. Depending on which integrative approach you take, it's also a meridian system. And that conversation is being had in a very sort of interdimensional, fractal manner all over the body. So we don't know the consequences because they control the paradigms of science. So they don't look at the areas where there would be consequences, right? They set the frame, and it's kind of like the house always wins, like in a casino. It's rigged from day one. It's not to say that there isn't some legitimate science going into this, but the picture is not integrative enough by any means. It's not a functional medicine view. And so the side effects, which have been, Misha and I have been cataloging these for over 3 years, they're all over the place. So then those people get pushed off to the specialist that would address those side effects, and it's rarely traced back. You might have a doctor say, well, you should get off Ozempic, but they're not going to go help them file a lawsuit against Ozempic. There's not going to be a class action lawsuit because they've made sure it's in the all the literature and all the legislation so that they are almost untouchable with this stuff. It's in the inserts. Like, they've disclaimed everything. So, yeah, we have a situation right now. Like, it almost feels like we're being prepped for a zombie apocalypse. I'm very much with you on this. And so how the pancreas and liver and all the other pathways associated with metabolic health, how they all interact, right? Because again, there's going to be some people that have mental health improvements. I've seen articles on, could Ozempic help cure depression? Well, there's some people that are getting secondary improvements in their mental health because they're losing a massive amount of weight. But that doesn't mean there's a direct causation there. And then, of course, there's lots of people that are noticing all kinds of dysthymia, right? Which is like a general flattening of all pleasure in life, no matter what. So the studies look into regular Ozempic users losing their desire for food, but also their desire for sex, also their desire for their partners, also their desire for their work and their passions. So it's messing with brain centers that are part of this regulatory conversation. I'll
I
pause
want
there.
to ask the audience, like, if you're on Ozempic or the gulps, GLPs or whatever, I want to know if you've had a sudden hankering for brains. I just throwing it out there.
That's funny. That's funny.
Go ahead, Dana.
Well, I was going to say, okay, yeah, for some, that's, those are just the extreme side effects, right? What about if we just microdose? There's always going to be side effects. I'm just going to take it for a period of time.
Well, Dana, that's where I kind of really wanted to have this conversation is why are we microdosing Ozempic, right? People are microdosing because they want to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds fit in their dress at their girlfriend's wedding, right? This is not health. This is a problem, right? And there are going to be downstream effects. I mean, even my father, who's a functional medicine doctor, today, I gained a little bit of weight. I was on some medication this winter, and I can probably get it off with exercise and diet, but he's a stickler with weight, and he was like, yeah, just get on some GLP-1, and said it to me 3 times, and I'm like, dude, like you don't get the what's going on here. And I called Farsom afterwards. And I'm like, this is a problem. Like, the top people in the world, the top people in the industry are listening to marketing dollars and listening to the marketing campaigns versus actually understanding the technology of the science. So for me, when you're saying let's microdose, that's like, worse than a Trojan horse or a gateway drug. I mean, that's a problem that people literally think, hey, I'm just going to microdose and not, and most of them, when they're microdosing, they're not changing their diet habits, their exercise routine's not improving. So they're actually potentially harming themselves. And the second they get off it, the weight's going to come immediately back. That's one thing about Ozempic is if you get off it and you don't change literally lifestyle, exercise, like it's a starter, it's a booster. It's supposed to boost your health. It's not meant to, if you get off it, you will gain almost nearly all the weight back. And people right now are getting, sick because they're doing the yo-yo diet and everyone probably knows that when you change diets and your weight goes up and down, it's very toxic for your health, your organ system. longevity, your chronic health, and obviously your mental health, right? Your brain is your second, or your gut is your second brain, as we all know.
No. The gut is not the gut is not the second brain. The gut, we are born with a fully functioning abdominal brain called the vasomotor nervosa. It was well known back in the 1900s, 1800s, and then 1936. It was they discovered serotonin in the gut. So serotonin means pertaining to control of the blood, not control of the moods. And so World War II happened, and then after that, Big Pharma come in and got in the cahoots with the military-industrial complex and started experimenting on with LSD, mescaline, and psilocybin for mind control and extracting information from spies. So it got the abdominal brain is fully functioning when we're born, and I will defend it with one word: diapers. When do people wear diapers? Until they began walking and talking when they're young, and when they get dementia and brain damage. But people in comas, they have fully functioning organs. The body, women can deliver full-term babies being in a coma. And this whole vagus nerve crap, the vagus nerve is 80% sensory. It controls jack squat. But so the abdominal brain controls everything. It controls the blood flow in the body through the use of neurotransmitters: serotonin, GABA, PIA, dopamine. So that the whole dopamine hit, the reason why they feel good with the dopamine is because it shunts blood to the brain. And so as long as we're using this antiquated, erroneous anatomy, we're going to come up with wrong answers. Exactly. So we're going to have to explain what's going on through, it's like Columbus, the powers that be setting up the world's flat. And so
well, I was just going to say that's an interesting point that you just made, because that goes now to all of the, antipsychotics that people are taking, or SSRIs. Like, oh, it's just a chemical imbalance. I mean, what you just said is basically saying, well, no, you have a blood flow issue. You have some sort of issue with how your body is functioning. Therefore, a serotonin issue in the gut. Is that right? So like the same thing now is going to be happening with GLP-1s. GLP-1s are slowing down your digestive tract. Now you have a higher risk of getting pancreatitis. You're probably you're going to have issues now with your serotonin as well. I mean, that makes sense why people are getting depression.
Yeah, 95% of serotonin is formed in the gut. And so the hierarchy, it goes low stomach acid, pancreas insufficiency. Pancreas insufficiency causes high cholesterol. High cholesterol causes fatty liver. Fatty liver causes minimal hepatic encephalopathy, which is where the mood changes come in. And then it progresses to hepatic encephalopathy. And so all of these influencers like Dr. Walls that healed her MS through diet, what she had was myelopathy, where the blood supply is altered at the cord level, which then causes the appearance of MS in the lower extremities.
So this is I remember her, Dr. Walls. Misha, you're nodding your head. Do you remember her? She did like the low lectin diet. Is that right? You're basically saying she didn't have MS?
Yeah, she changed her diet and healed her MS.
Yeah, I remember.
What she had was hepatic myelopathy caused by pancreatitis. And until that GLP, the endocrine cells in the pancreas are going to continue to get damaged. Mm-hmm. as long as the pancreas is auto-digesting itself.
Exactly.
And so as long as there's the stomach acid, they're still pushing all the antacids and all of that, and shutting off the sequencing of the digestive chemistry, which is then predisposing them to have these issues. And the parotid glands in the cheeks, when the pancreas is not working properly, the parotid glands are formed from the same cells like embryologically. And so they will start trying to support the pancreas. And that's why you have the sunken in cheeks, because the parotid glands aren't working.
So a lot of people say that that's just like fat loss on the face, you know?
Oh, because that's the only tool they have.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, exactly. That's the language and the only tool they're working with. Exactly right.
What kind of
Right,
I know. Go ahead first, Sam.
Ozempic case, right? I was just saying the expression today is now.
Hi, Mom. That's my mom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Allison.
Or Sam, you're cutting out a little bit. Can you start over a little bit on that topic?
Yeah, sorry. I was saying is that we have an expression now, Ozempic face. So I think Dr. Dave was referencing this, where the product lens are, is the buccal fat, BCCAL. That's the caved in part, and that's what a lot of
Your audio is pretty choppy. Your audio is pretty choppy. I don't know if you can change it or anything.
Okay, I will leave and come back in. So sorry, guys. This is where I normally do all my calls.
I was waiting for it to get. I was hoping it was gonna get better. Okay, so
It got
I'm just
better
gonna
last
play
time.
devil's advocate. I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? Because I haven't done the GLP ones, but I'm gonna be here telling you guys what everybody is saying, because you're gonna be getting all of the same questions, like the microdosing question, the question around like, yeah, there's always gonna be side effects for something. So as long as I do it in a way that's gonna help me change my habits, why can't I do that? What would you say? Misha, you're muted.
It's not about, I mean, it's not changing your habits, right? You have to have, like, when you get it on Ozempic or any of these GLP-1s, the doctor should say, change your diet and exercise. And if you're just doing the GLP-1s, you're shooting your, stomach with little pens, or you're taking the fast melts, are you really going to be changing your whole lifestyle as well? I don't buy it. Most of the people who are suffering and severely overweight, there's a motivation issue also, where they don't actually want to, do the hard work. So if you're doing it as if you have type 2 diabetes and you're morbidly obese and you're like 400 pounds, sure, take Ozempic, take Wegovy, sure. But otherwise, it's a slippery slope. And if you're saying, why not just do it to look good at the beach? Well, you're taking shortcuts. I mean, go do lipo. I mean, I'd honestly say go do lipo before take Ozempic. Big picture. And I'm not saying do lipo to anybody, right? So I think we have to really understand. You're speaking also from a marketing angle. You're saying why, we're going to get these questions. People are talking about microdosing. The reason why even microdosing is a conversation right now is because the GLP-1s and Ozempic were way too expensive for people to buy who couldn't afford it. So now the microdoses are affordable, and that's the main marketing stance with Roman Health is, it's affordable microdoses. Don't want to spend $10,000 on a package, boom, $10 a month, whatever. So for me, it's marketing, storytelling, and these brands are putting their marketing dollars their dollars in marketing. It's kind of like big pharma. You're watching like Pfizer and all these companies. They're not really allowed to make commercials anymore. But now we're getting Ozempic commercials on every single YouTube video I watch. I have Netflix and I don't pay for the full package. I get Ozempic commercials on my Netflix package. So you have to kind of understand, like, why are we seeing this everywhere? Is it because it's a miracle drug? No, it's because people are going to be printing money off sick, uninformed, overweight, and honestly mentally ill people. So we have to really understand, why are we even seeing 15 ads a day on our Instagram or our Facebook or on our YouTube? It's because they're engineering us to believe this is a great thing for our health. And the truth is, there's not enough science, one, and two, when people say it's FDA approved, that should be a red flag. the FDA is like one of the sketchiest organizations. So I actually like when people say my things FDA approves, and I'm like, okay, great. Who did you pay? Right? It's all under the. I mean, I'm probably getting shot for saying that, but that's a reality, and you have to understand the FDA right now is not the, it's not the WHO. WHO is also not great, but there's no real bodies of authority that we can actually look up to and trust. So we have to be investigators. We have to, like Dr. Dave, you have to learn this stuff. He was probably in medical school and didn't have access to most of this information. He had to learn it himself, right? So you have to find out where the wisdom is, and it's not on your little 30-second marketing ad by Roe to say, hey, take a microdose. I mean, my business partner in Miami is like sells GLP-1s out of his trunk. He loves it. He sells the fast melts, GLP fast melts, like literally just lozenges. And I'm like, dude, you're killing people. Like, this is not okay. I'm yelling at him next week actually about that. So that's just my 2 cents. So the microdose thing, I know you keep talking about that, but that's like a slippery slope. I don't know if
to sum it up, follow the money.
Exactly. Follow the money. I mean, it's to preface that, exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. If it makes money, they'll do it. They'll push these pills, they'll chop people up, and all for
We still can't hear you first off. Hello?
Sure.
Try again?
Yeah. I was just saying, what follow the money indicates is that behind the scenes there's some regulatory cap.
No, we can't hear you.
Yeah, no, I can't hear you. Maybe you go in your car with Bluetooth. I bet Bluetooth works great.
No, I have perfect reception here, guys. I'm gonna download the app and see if that helps.
Okay.
I love walkie-talkies. Okay, but yeah, Dana, I think like what you're kind of the devil's advocate angle is interesting because you want to obviously have both sides of the argument, but follow the money, right? Why are you seeing so many? Like, just ask yourself, why in the past 3 years are you seeing so many ads about Ozempic? Like when it was like a niche thing, people are losing weight, people have obesity.
No, look, I have no doubt in my mind it's a $1 trillion industry. I mean, there's thousands of lawsuits out right now. We know this. Like, there's people who get chronic gastroparesis. They're maybe potentially damaged for life. And a lot of people would see that and say, well, or even like their anesthesiologists not asking if they're actually on these drugs. And then they're potentially dying because their digestive organs are slowed down. And my understanding is when you get anesthesiology, when you get, when you get put under to get some sort of surgery, that your organs slow down further. Is that right? So it's like anesthesiologists are always very interesting to me because they're basically putting you really close to death and bring you back to life again. I mean, their personalities are very strange, but I mean, like if people are not disclosing this information, first of all, they can potentially die. What I'm trying to say is people will still hear this and their desire to clear the food noise. Like, we know all of these ridiculous words that are used. We know that it's just additives in food that are making people ravishly hungry. They're never content with their food because they're not eating real food. Like, most people on this podcast or even listening kind of are up to date with that. They still will say, well, look, I just am having a hormone issue right now. I just want a little jump start. I just want something to get me on the right path. I know it's a slippery slope. I'm telling you what I hear over and over again, especially women, right? It's very important for women to look their best. So they're going to still see all of these things and think, well, what's the worst thing that could happen if I just did it a little bit? What would you say to that? Other than what you're just saying, which is like, it's a slippery slope. When you do too much, you're going to get pancreatitis, etc.
I mean, I would say I would want to do a little bit of heroin. Like, hey, if you want to lose some weight, heroin's probably healthier for you than Ozempic.
Yeah, but
yeah.
All the meth heads I've ever known lost big weight. Big weight loss community in the meth community for sure.
Well, I've worked with heroin patients, and what heroin does is it shuts off the stomach. That's why they don't get hungry.
So same thing. So maybe
Same
that's
thing.
an alternative, you're saying.
A little bit of brown powder, no injectables. They say how they say it.
And
But
then,
no, but I think what you're saying, is more of a cultural, societal and cultural issue. Is if women want to cut corners and go to Colombia and get a little lipo, get a boob job, get a nose job because a little bit's not going to hurt. I mean, that's your opinion, that's your lifestyle. You can do that. But if your goal is to be a healthy person and have a real sustainable, healthy life, and you're taking GLP-1 just to lose a little bit of weight to jumpstart. I mean, if you're really just going to use it to jumpstart your, if you're morbidly obese, great, use it to jumpstart your health journey. If you're 20 pounds overweight, you're playing with fire. And then a lot of these women, I mean, I have an eating disorder. A lot of these women are only doing this because they're severely insecure, have severe eating disorders and chronic health issues stemming from that. Down the road, when you have eating issues, there can be some severe, bulimia and anorexia. You can have some severe gut issues. So, you have to understand the way you're framing it is, might as well put a little bit of heroin to your nose and lose some weight versus Ozempic. Honestly, I'm not saying go get heroin. No one's saying do that, but it's not. You're not telling people that you're in a position, as these doctors and even marketers, where you actually are going to have any foresight of your health. It's so right now. It's so in the moment. People have no conscientiousness about their health, and right now it's the marketing. It's disgusting. If you actually watch the marketing campaigns, they're horrifying. And I'm just watching people. You're right. They're targeting women's insecurities, and I think that's completely wrong. And if there are lawsuits out there, that could honestly be an angle. Honestly, of targeting really, I wouldn't say unstable, but people who are on their health journeys and they can't lose that 20, 30 pounds, they would do anything, as you're saying. But if the thing's dangerous, who's going to be held accountable, and who's going to let them know? Who's going to whistleblow? So that's
yeah. Well, I look at it. Everybody blames food. Well, it's your diet. It's no, it's not. It is, but it's not what you eat. It's what you digest, chemically break down, and absorb. And if the stomach, pancreas, gallbladder aren't functioning, it doesn't matter what you eat because you're not going to chemically break it down. Like we now know because of the PCR DNA testing, the gallstones are actually bacteria biofilm. Tonsil stones, bacteria biofilm. Kidney stones, bacteria biofilm. Pancreas stones, whoever talks about pancreas stones, are bacteria biofilms. They're concretions that form to protect themselves from the digestive chemistry. I've got a picture, an x-ray of a 6-year-old with pancreas stones. So it starts at an early age because all of those things and their job is to disrupt anything that's going to harm them, meaning the bacteria. So they're going to shut off stomach acid. They're going to shut off the alkaline juices released by the pancreas. They're going to stop the alkaline bile salts that come out of the gallbladder. And this whole alkaline thing, pathogenic bacteria prefer and create their own alkaline environment. So all these people that are out there alkalizing are actually creating a perfect terrain for these invasive keystone disease-causing bacteria. And it just becomes this never-ending cycle. Let's blame the food.
No, that's actually a very good point, because I have people who are on that Kangen water filter and have been for 10 years, and they don't look healthy. They have some chronic health issues, and they keep using the Kangen to fix their health issues. So that's a really interesting point. Is when you create it's like terrain theory, right? If your gut and your terrain and your nervous system is not resilient and able to fight back, you're going to get sick. And I think these GLP-1s they're putting your nervous system at risk, where when you have to I'm interested to see when the next pandemic happens how these people who took Ozempic, they're probably all going to have severe issues. I think you guys are aware with what's going on in the world right now, but I see this, you're right. The zombie apocalypse, it's kind of a way to thin out the herd, right? It's people are going to have severe chronic health issues down the road.
Well, that actually leads
most people. Most people don't know that the pancreas and spleen are actually connected. Back in the 1900s, some British anatomists cut them. There's one little tube that connects them. They cut it apart so they could have two organs, but they're actually connected, and that's where the immune disruption comes in. Because the spleen is responsible for quality control and quantity control of the red blood cells. And so if that's disrupted, the body can't protect itself. Not to mention, I just produced a screen print where of the 12 different ways that microbes hack the immune system.
Yeah, so really more microbes are likely going to be able to have more access points. Then people get all these new diseases, and we have a new label of a disease that everybody has. And if everyone's digestive tract is slowed down, then that makes you kind of an easy access point. I wonder if people maybe won't get pancreatitis if they're microdosing, but they now have permanent damage in other ways. Like all you have is a slight pancreas issue to then have a lack of blood flow problem, chances of getting, higher risk of getting like hepatic encephalopathy, right? So, and then they're just kind of labeled as being psychosomatic because they don't feel good. Like, oh, well.
Yeah, and they don't feel good. But the pancreas, medical studies are reporting that the pancreas can be 93% damaged before they'll recognize pancreatitis. Before that, well, if you just lose a few pounds, if you just eat right, it'll all go away. I've lost 2 patients with dissecting aneurysms because those enzymes from the pancreas leak in through the endocrine cells and they start corroding the aorta and the blood supply in the body. And so they absolutely refuse to recognize pancreatitis until it's life-saving measures only.
I mean, this is actually scaring me more. I thought I was kind of not an expert, but pretty, well read on this topic of how, Ozempic is going to have a lot of downstream, trophic cascade effects for health. But the way you're explaining it and the way, I didn't know all these mechanisms in the body, but it just makes a lot of sense that our pancreas is going to be in danger. And if we can't really protect our nervous system and protect our, biology and physiology, this is like lifestyle and nutrition and health. It should be a priority for most people, not taking a shot and fitting into a dress and going to a wedding. Like this is serious. This is code red, time. And what you're saying, it just makes sense. And even the experts aren't experts. So no one can be an expert on this. The only reason why me and Dr. Dave and Farsam, I think we kind of have an understanding of this because we're seeing it almost from a mechanism perspective at how it affects the biology, not just how it affects certain levels and of our lab tests.
Yeah, don't try going to AI with it because Grok and ChatGPT will tell you you're wrong.
No, it's funny you say that. I actually did a little research on ChatGPT, and I was like, "This is bullshit." I'm like, I was actually laughing at it. I was going to send Dana some notes. I'm like, "Nope, not going to send you that. That's misinformation."
Yeah, I was doing the same thing before, and like the worst case scenario I got was, well, did you know, after a year, 49% of people gain back more weight. I'm like, okay, well, that's
oh yeah.
why you can do it then.
All right, did you guys already address lifelong dependence cases?
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically lifelong dependence, meaning like you have to be on it because you're likely to just gain the weight back, right?
Right. I'm sure this is something Dr. Dave could elaborate on. I'm glad you guys can finally hear me. I'm sorry about all the technical difficulties. So, I mean, that is literally the ultimate cash cow for big pharma when you have regulatory capture. So you're not getting the kind of pushback and scrutiny a drug of this scale and caliber would normally require. And you have patients that are going to be forever patients, right? So the best drug is a drug that keeps you dependent on it and doesn't kill you that fast, but it makes sure that you've got another 3 or 4 or 5 decades of reliance on it. I mean, that's what makes it a super blockbuster kind of a conversation. And this earlier reference to retatrutide, once that gets greenlit, that's what I'm hearing from industry experts. It's going to make this whole space look like nothing what we're currently dealing with. This was like the warm up act for what's coming with that triple agonist. So, I mean, the conversation also needs to focus on what is GLP-1, not as a definition, but I know Misha's been in the carnivore keto space. I know a lot of people are these days. Why are people getting such great results from that? Well, just so turns out that more of a ketogenic diet tends to produce a kind of GLP-1 satiety effect, right? That's what happens when you have a non-inflammatory meal and you have a meal that's got its macros properly balanced with a little bit more emphasis on fat and protein, and non-ultra processed food diet, right? So you actually get that natural endogenous release of GLP, and it goes through some of the, digestive sequencing that Dr. Dave mentioned, and your body rides a sort of wave and metabolizes it, and you get to the next hunger cycle. That's how it's supposed to be. But, and I'm sure Dr. Dave has the numbers. When you get a GLP-1 injection, I mean, is it what, like once a week or once a month? I know the frequency varies per person.
I don't deal with GLP-1. I deal with repairing and restoring the body. But to your point, the doctor friend of mine said, Dave, what the heck are you doing? You need to be effectively ineffective in your treatment plans to keep them permanent patients.
Wow. Right. That's horrendous. That's beyond unethical. Well, my point was simply that the injection of Ozempic-like products is something like stimulating that a GLP-1 pathway 1,000x, right, compared to a proper meal. And so that's why people are having this hedonic drop in pleasure across many other categories of life.
And then what happens is they're going to start making antibodies to GLP-1. And the immune system is going to start seeing this as a foreign invader, because it's kind of looks like our GLP-1, because they have to, like in front of all like the amino acids, they have the L-glutamine, L-theanine. Well, these molecules have a L stands for levorotatory, or what is that? That's a left-hand twist in order to be utilized by the body. But when they're making these drugs and these chemicals, they can't guarantee that they're all going to be of the L format. They're going to be the dextrorotatory, which is the opposite twist. They can't be used. Now, they'll fit in the receptor sites, but they'll cause something bad to happen. Or it'll activate an immune response to the cell that's using the GLP-1. And then they're going to have all kinds of cytokine storms and things like that.
But then, Dr. Dave, you can just get all the immunologists involved and create some monoclonal antibody.
Business. Follow the money.
That's even more money that can be made.
Yeah, and there the two shall meet.
If I put my conspiracy hat on, so like put the tinfoil on, in some ways it seems like the perfect like drug or cocktail to create drones for your big tech surveillance state. Like it reduces your desire for things, which like encourages you not to go do awesome stuff. Like, right. Like the driving passion and like getting rid of desire. Like to me, that's very helpful in like wanting to keep people inside. The weight loss is actually a benefit, right? Which is if you get people to kind of lose weight and you're taking away their desire, you're making them cheaper to maintain in your operation. The AI stuff actually really bothers me. Like the fact that they're modifying it and the popularity of it also seems unnatural to me. So, right, like there's something to be said for when
people are inherently lazy.
Something that exists becomes crazy amounts of popular. And until today, I've not had one person who was able to tell me what a peptide was or what this is actually doing to you at all when you take it. Just like, oh, bro, you take it like, you don't eat as much, like you lose weight and the fat goes away. Like when that kind of stuff pops up artificially, it really does put my conspiracy mind to work at like what more broadly is at play, and why are they so invested? Why does this make us better sheep or better drones within the system?
And the timing of the release of this after the big lockdown that took place.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, how does GLP-1s affect fertility? Because chat tells me that there's this thing called GLP-1 babies where women were just getting pregnant now because they lost weight. My intuition is actually it's hurting fertility.
Well, really quickly, there was a little moment where people were getting pregnant once they started losing weight, getting healthier. That's a byproduct of getting your, nervous system and overall kind of, biology just less toxic, right? So, like compared to being a morbidly obese American who's on the standard American diet, who has many toxins, there's over 3,000 toxins people, get our endocrine system as, is attacked by every day, right? So, if Ozempic can kind of calm down some of those pathways, it makes sense that people who are morbidly obese, who can't get pregnant because they're chronically unhealthy, get pregnant. So I wouldn't say like it's causation, not correlation. It's not, oh, Ozempic's getting me pregnant. But if you're chronically unhealthy, I can see it, leveling out the a little bit to get your.
Well, there's a direct link between pancreas insufficiency, which causes insulin resistance. Insulin resistance causes increased androgens in women and increased estrogens in men. And so there's 10 different types of estrogens that all their main purpose is to prepare for the possibility of pregnancy. And so insulin resistance causes increased conversion of into the androgens, and the androgens cause polycystic ovary syndrome. So it's going to affect, so one, they're going to be ovulating more and multiple follicles at the same time, but also that's going to cause massive amounts of inflammation. And so these hormones also, I have too many thoughts. The estradiol, which is the popular, because they're probably also going to their hormone doctor and being on estradiol. Well, estradiol prepares a woman's body for the possibility of pregnancy. And it also, because during pregnancy, the woman needs fat storage, so it's going to start depositing fat around the hips, thighs, and waist. And so it's this catch-22, the vicious cycle they're in, plus the androgens causing hair loss and things like that, which they blame on the thyroid, which just so happens to be they're using metformin now, a diabetes drug for low thyroid.
Oh, yeah.
And so because they're compartmentalized the body according to their turf, nobody talks to nobody in the medical community, and you're actually banned or shunned or canceled from doing so.
So are you saying that men who take GLP-1s long-term are becoming gay?
They're going to be.
That's what I heard. What?
They're going to be feminized.
Yeah, Farsam has a good theory on that, right, Farsam?
So I read Suzanne Summers' book back when I was in my early years, back in the 90s, and said, well, progesterone's good for men too. So I used it for like 6 years. And so I've got enough estrogen to support 3 women. So yeah, there is a feminizing effect with the conversion of with the insulin resistance into the estrogens, and the estrogens also either suppress or stimulate an immune response. So estradiol stimulates IgAs, IgGs, and IgM antibody production. Well, then they go to their immunologist and go, oh, you've got positive antibodies. And they don't talk about the estradiol they've been taking.
This is like really crazy how this is going to have an effect even socially on people. It's like women who are on birth control pills for a long period of time. They were attracted to these feminized men because they were so hormoned up, and then they removed their pills, and now they're like, wait a minute, I'm not not attracted to these types of men. Same sorts of things are going to happen with this drug, it seems. So if people are still considering taking these medications, I mean, first of all, the fat loss in the face, I think, is not cool. And that's not just because you've lost weight. We've already determined that. But what happens to your mitochondria, which is really important for your health? I mean, we can talk about the mitochondria and why it's important, but I think most people understand that
Here's another pet
powerhouse of the cell. What? Go ahead, Dr. Dave.
Here's another pet peeve of mine. All these mitochondria experts, what do the mitochondria need? Oxygen and glucose. Oxygen and glucose. If they don't have oxygen and glucose, they go into power saver mode and they only produce 2 ATP per cycle. Where if they have adequate oxygen and glucose, they produce 38 per cycle. Well, the thing with insulin resistance, which is caused by pancreas insufficiency, causes red blood cells to get sticky and glom together. They'll stack up in rouleau formations like a stack of coins, or they'll just clump up. And when they do, they shed their oxygen. And when they shed their oxygen, they can't get through circulation to deliver the oxygen and glucose. Oh my God, you got a mitochondria problem. No, you got a circulation problem caused by pancreas dysfunction, which nobody wants to talk about because 99% of the money goes into GLP-1 and insulin, and nothing goes into the enzyme. Well, just take enzymes. And I check this quite frequently. It was like, some expert will be talking about insulin or mitochondria, and it's like, so I'll just do a quick search. They never mention oxygen or glucose. They never mention that the pancreas is being digested. It's like everything else is working properly except for the GLP cells.
So you're basically arguing that all this talk about the mitochondria is, well, like, some of the things you're told to do to improve your mitochondrial health, like, well, basically all the things that improve blood flow, right?
Yeah.
Like all
Exactly. One of the influencers that I follow is like 18 ways the mitochondria can dysfunction. Well, none of them mentioned oxygen or glucose or circulation to the cells.
Yeah, I'm literally thinking about all the things that improve mitochondria. It's just they are all things that improve your blood flow.
Well, then let me talk about alkalinity.
Oh God, yeah.
So the alkaline is healthy because the blood is 7.3, therefore it's alkaline, therefore it's healthy. Well, there's a defensive mechanism that the body uses that the red blood cells under normal circumstances come flowing by and they go, okay, that's alkaline here. I don't need to drop off any oxygen. So the red blood cells cannot release oxygen in an alkaline terrain. They only release oxygen in an acidic terrain, which then resets the balance. So all these people are out there alkalizing with their Kangen water or their baking soda are actually causing their own health problems.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we're all kind of causing our own health issues. Like we have these problems and then we misdiagnose them. And then we do things that like we're obese or we have like type 2 diabetes. Then I guess in that case, right, you'd say, well, maybe like GLP-1s will make sense. But other than that, No, right? We all kind of agree on that.
Yeah, I would.
I think it's as simple as if you have type 2 diabetes and you're morbidly overweight, Ozempic is good for you. If you want to just lose a bunch of weight and not be worried about the downstream side effects, then do Wegovy. But everything that's like on the market right now, I would be very wary. I would not. It's not a quick fix. Getting a 6-pack, summer program. But again, if you have type 2 diabetes and you're 400 pounds, yes, it's an option. This is not meant for everyone, right? And everyone now, like it's not like taking vitamin D, right? It's not like a non, there's going to be consequences for people actually putting money into marketing and giving it to people who maybe don't need it. And like for someone like you, Dana, like you should never be on it. Like you're not someone who's overweight. You don't need to even be thinking about that. Me and Forson with this friend, Way actually, who was maybe 15 pounds overweight, got on it, and honestly, her mood got crazy. She got very, had a lot of rage issues. She lost a little bit of weight, but not enough, to make a difference. And then when she got off it, the weight came back immediately. So I would just, again, it's an intervention medicine. It's not a lifestyle, medicine we should be using. So it has its place in the marketplace, but right now people are so excited about, kind of like the psychedelic space or even the cannabis space when it boomed. People are just seeing dollar signs and they're putting money into marketing. And that's why, Dustin, you're like, well, why is it so popular? It's because people are putting an emphasis on making this a household product name. And within 2 years ago, not everyone knew about it. Now every single person knows what a GLP-1 is or Ozempic is. And you're under a rock if you don't. And that's the marketing engine. And that's the almost like the big pharma playbook. And the truth is, Dana, we're not all sick. When we look at functional medicine, we go find a doctor like Dr. Dave. We do get lab tests. There is a roadmap to health. We just choose not to take the road, right? Like Dana, for you, if you want to follow it, I have a full blueprint for you to fix any chronic health issue you have. Most people, they just have to understand that Western medicine is it's great for interventional medicine. If you break your leg, great. But functional medicine, Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine have been working for about 4,000, 5,000 years for a reason. And peer-reviewed studies only became available in 1952. So we have to really understand, why are we getting sicker? What's the whole blueprint of our healthcare system? And the truth is, like, we have to take accountability for our own health. Going to a doctor, buying something on peptides online, that's not really being accountable. You're just following the tea leaves made by the marketing people. So for us, we have to really understand, you're right. Circulation, yoga, the meridian therapy with acupuncture, get some massage, Chinese medicine, sauna, cold plunge, and everything else, go for a walk, stay in the sun, and everything else should be ancillary and interventional medicine. Otherwise, if you're just going to take a little Ozempic and go to the beach and eat a burger, that's not going to fix your issues. So I just wanted to just be clear that, there is a place for GLP-1s and Ozempic. But that's if you have a chronic health issue or type 2 diabetes, or you have severe obesity, and you really cannot curb your appetite, then it's an intervention medicine. It's not a lifestyle medicine.
Well, even type 2 diabetes is reversible if you do the right things.
Yeah, exactly.
But the way they treat it, they start them out with the thyroid medication, which will actually then drive them smack into diabetes. But it'll be 15, 20 years apart. And so then they're taking the thyroid meds plus the diabetes meds. And then they're taking the blood pressure meds, because the pancreatitis causes portal hypertension. And I hate that word, hypertension, because what it does is it causes the blood vessels in the abdomen to balloon up, and so they have more volume. And so then with that volume, the blood vessels will actually grow new blood vessels and bypass the liver. Another thing I never hear the influencers talk about. And so when the blood supply draining the intestines with all those food particles bypasses the liver, goes into systemic circulation, they have a reaction to food after every time they eat. Oh my God, it's the food. No, it's the blood bypassing the liver. and going into systemic circulation where it's not supposed to be there. That fires up an immune response. And so now they're limiting their diet because of the so-called food allergies.
No, that's a really good point, actually. I people don't think about it like that. So a lot of people can eat the same foods.
Misha,
Yeah, Farsan.
I'm not disagreeing with anyone. I just wanted to weave together the story of reversing my mom's type 2 diabetes to complement what Dr. Dave just shared and build off of what you were sharing, Misha. I mean, I do use the phrase, all the king's horses and all the king's men could never put Humpty Dumpty back together again. That's where we're at in today's state of affairs. It's not just modernist science and medicine, it's postmodernist science and medicine. We have highly fragmented thinking. We have lots of siloing of hyper specialized doctors, even the most well meaning, brilliant MD, PhDs who do nothing but work clinically and in research environments can rarely piece together, right? There's a philosophy underneath all science and a philosophy underneath that clinical medicine. And most people don't go back to the roots of like, well, how does this all work? What is this thing that we've torn apart? Like when you break apart some electronics in order to fix it, and you fix the one piece and then you can't put it back together again, it's just not going to work. So this kind of magic bullet thinking that Misha was referring to is everywhere. If people are, when I talk to people, both, professional and non-professional, there's just this kind of apathy that has set in because most people hear a TV commercial advertising a drug, where we're really one of the only developed countries in the world that has TV-based pharmaceutical advertising that is now spread to TV-based pharmaceutical for pet advertising. That's just started up now. They've done both mind capture and regulatory capture of both veterinary and conventional human medicine. We can talk about private equity and the role it plays in that, because that is what you ask anybody who's been in medicine for more than 3 or 4 decades. They can attest to the fact that corporate medicine is now been the number one driving force behind hijacking it all, driven by the regulatory capture, which I think you all know what we mean by that. They drive the legislation that allows them to have the operating systems to proceed, right? So they have all the lobbying dollars to keep the legislation in place and advance it as needed. I'm going to share one other really specific example that never gets talked about. But, we all know the history of big tobacco lobbying for decades to prevent FDA and American Medical Association recognition of one simple true fact, that tobacco-based nicotine is a carcinogen. And that was fought in the courts, and it was battles, and it took billions, and eventually there was that recognition. We're in a world now that's 1,000 times more captured than it was back then. And there's another big here. There's a big ultra I want to talk about. I talk about ultra processed foods and that capture. That's a $1 trillion industry globally, big ultra. But big alcohol lobbies every year to prevent any doctor or scientist to say the following simple sentence: alcohol is a carcinogen. Period. End of the sentence. Nothing more needs to be discussed. If that got out, the amount of class action lawsuits, I don't think Dr. Dave would disagree, but that's a suppressed scientific truth. So that's what we mean by regulatory capture. They can't even, I guarantee you, if a doctor started talking about that widely and openly and got other doctors with them, they would find a way to shut them down. And certainly if they scaled to an organization that was advocating for that. So this is the world we live in, where most people have become very apathetic. They listen to the TV commercial, they hear 100 side effects, and they go, I don't know what to believe in anymore. Just give me something that's going to make me feel better. And we have that building upon itself, and generations of people who think and feel like that. And they take a knee to authority. Whether that authority, unfortunately, Dr. Dave, is an influencer, or that authority is just their conventional doctor. We have this like 2-tier ridiculous authority system now. So the short-term thinkers, the people that are there on social media and just have their attention hijacked for 10 seconds on TikTok, they're going to follow that pathway. And so that's one body of a mess that's being made, in conventional medicine's making another body of a mess. We like to talk about the collective mess that's made as the medical refugee community. So to be a medical refugee, you have to have invested your trust in conventional medicine and have come out the other end worse off usually financially worse off as well, and then need more solutions and have more, disillusionment and confusion. And so this is the world we're in today, guys. Holistic and functional medicine has to have a renaissance and come together. There's the potential for AI to do that, independent AI that is not like Wikipedia, completely under the influence of the powers that be. If you guys ever want to laugh, just go into Wikipedia and read the definition of alternative medicine. It's not even close to something you would call a fair or neutral definition. Right out the gates, it's defined as untrustworthy, unproven, snake oil, charlatanry, con artistry. They don't even allow for this dictionary, basically, definition that alternative medicine could be a space in which some legitimate practices exist, right? And that's maintained. There are organizations that Big Pharma pays to maintain those page edits. Wikipedia is supposed to be a place where if you have new information, you can go update an entry with a new edit. Go ahead. I dare you to try to change the alternative medicine edit and watch how fast it disappears. Under 3 minutes, it will be corrected, and you might be banned from Wikipedia for attempting to do it. So there's this whole back end in all these worlds of lobbying organizations that control mind share and influence across every sector of society and all of media. So yeah, to be on this podcast, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk about these things. They are talked about, but they're not talked about like this.
I'm really excited that you guys came on today. And if anyone is very serious about your health, I really recommend that you reach out to all of these guys, and I'll put all of their links under the YouTube video in case you forget. If you ever want Misha to make you some really awesome lamb, and he can do, custom events for you, like, he is the guy. If you want to jumpstart, no need to start with GLP-1s. Just get some really good food and have a good time with some fun people. Dr. Dave, like, anytime I talk to him, he's reading these really old school books of, like, I don't know, these doctors from like the 80s. I don't even know where he finds these research papers. But if you need someone to go through your lab tests, he's the guy. Any of these lab tests, ranges are wrong, because thousands of people who have bad health are included in those ranges of your optimal D level or of your optimal whatever it is. Sometimes your iron can be very high. Well, guess what? That means, or low, that can mean what, Dr. Dave? That you have a bacterial infection. Bacteria can affect your iron. I don't know. Like, it's all very complicated. He's the guy you want to talk to, so you're not running around in circles. Misha is amazing. He is so smart, and he's going to help you from a high level of just staying focused, getting you in the right mindset of just prioritizing your health. For some, we just met, but like, I can already understand why you and Misha are good friends. So follow all of those guys if you're serious about your health. I would really, really consider just jumping on the bandwagon of taking any drug. Don't be the girl who just took your hormone drugs and 10 years later you're getting off these, birth control pills because now you know that they're not great for you. Doctors are going to be handing these drugs out like candy, and you don't really want to be an experiment. Like, your health is too important. So
Can I tack on one thought?
Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to add in that the last 564 days, I've been running a regenerative nursing home project for my own mother, who had a catastrophic stroke brought on by her diabetes. They were telling us at the best hospital here in Southern California that she had only 3 days to live. That was an ICU intensivist who told me this to my face. Here we are on day 564, and she continues to progress. I use some of the best tools in regenerative medicine, ranging from molecular hydrogen at a medical grade to hyperbaric at a medical grade to excellent stem cells and exosomes and a lot more. But what we've been able to prove by our meager efforts and means is that regenerative medicine and a regenerative nursing home could be a thing. There's just no money in that. I know for a fact that if she were to be hospitalized and pass away there, they would have collected a $250,000 paycheck for passing her away under their roof, which is how the insurance pays out death. So there's a perverse incentive to not extend life at a certain point in life. In any case, There's a lot to be said and shared about that. If anybody wants help in that category, I'm happy to share my knowledge. I'm an open book and it is pro bono. So don't hesitate to reach out to me or anyone in my network.
Thanks, Farsam. Yeah, I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. And we do this every Tuesday at 6. So I hope you guys come back and hang out with us another time.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks for having.
Thanks,
Nice
Dana.
meeting all of you guys.
Guys.
Nice meeting you, Dr. Dave.
Take care.
Nice meeting you,
Appreciate it.
Austin, Dana.
Nice job, everyone.